Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It is November 25th, 2020, and this is the Flight Sim News. So, this is a follow-up to the last news video that I did. The guys over at Inverted saw my news video and they replied to it. So they go on to say, "Hi Rod, thanks so much for spreading the word. Your words are deeply appreciated for the viewers." Thank you guys so much for your words and support. We deeply appreciate them. We've been watching your comments and voices on different platforms, although we wanted to leave many things until we publish the gameplay trailer in about 2 weeks. We will address a few elephants in the room here so we can all have less confusion and rumor. Inverted is in no way in any form affiliated with Project Ace. The only thing common being that we approached Mr. Kobayashi, introduced our project, and asked him if he wanted to take it. Very fortunate for us, he did, and the result is epic. You will be able to hear a few more pieces in trailers to follow. Number 2, Rising Squall is not Ace Combat. Sorry to disappoint those who may have wanted a campaign of infinite missiles and invincible planes. This is not it. For us, that is not DCS either. Realistic flight model and avionics are mandatory. We had other ways to make it much easier for new players, don't worry, but turning DCS into a casual shooter is not what we are here for. Stay tuned for that. Rising Squall's story is original and written in-house. We think that to say that it is a copycat of Ace Combat's story is quite unfair for our main writer, as he has no previous Ace Combat experience. Of course, some may argue that names sounded familiar. A few actors contributed to this. There are names such as Gollum in there as an Easter egg for Ace Combat players, but like Easter eggs in other games, won't play a big role in the story or campaign. Out of thousands of dialogues, we chose a dozen for this trailer. They are there to make players feel the intricacy of the story. The story builds around two kinds of conflicts between nations and people. Geopolitical influence at the center of national competitions. The struggle between ideal and reality is on the character's side. You will constantly see these two themes in the story. Some topics might be sensitive, so we had to build a fictional world to safely do these. Again, to say this early, any similarity to any real-world events or entities is purely coincidental. We founded the studio with very clear goals to achieve. In short, invert hardcore. I don't know what the fuck that means. There are 3 key points to the phrase. First, we are bringing more new players, especially players from other air combat genres, to DCS World as the main goal and incentive from our studio. That's kind of what I said already, right? Now, if a player comes to DCS and still play in the same way he plays in Ace Combat or casual titles, then we have completely failed because they are still not DCS players. Second, we want players new and old of DCS World to see the potential of a flight sim. It can also be exciting and cinematic while preserving the golden core of its uniqueness in our fast-paced modern society. Third, we want existing players to see another possibility of gamification of DCS World without turning it into another War Thunder or Ace Combat. I myself, as the founder, am an FAA private pilot and love aviation. There's a little bit of issue there with how that's written. However, there are times that I only have 30 minutes to play and I just want to have a movie-like experience in my favorite flight sim. I enjoyed playing Ace Combat, with music being the best part. However, the simplistic controls just don't do this job. So I asked, why not do one by ourselves and bring to the players, see if they had the same pain that we had. As of the comments so far, I think we have a pretty competent product coming up. This is getting too long, haha. We will be posting out a list of key features tonight. Follow our social media for updates. We'll be posting a lot about the story and backgrounds between now and launch. The Q&A will also come out Friday. Hope those will address most questions. Again, thank you for your support and feedback, blah, blah, blah. And then they go on to show all of their social media links. And you can click on any of these in that last news video, which I'll throw a link to. And then I asked them about doing an interview, and then they said definitely. However, we're busy working on content before launch. We can set up one once the campaign is launched, hopefully later next month. Thanks again, Rod. Shoot us an email so we can keep in contact. And I'm doing that. So hopefully I'll have a nice interview with these guys pretty soon to toss up on the channel and answer any and all questions that I can possibly get to these guys. So if you guys do have any questions you would like me to ask Inverted, feel free to post them in the comments of this video, and I will see what I can do. Next up, they posted on their Facebook page Rising Squall campaign overview, and it goes into detail about how the campaign's going to work and then what their goals are, and then they go in to talk about a lot of stuff which is interesting, like from radio to avionics. We simplified the controls in a way not to cut the hardcore nature of DCS to save the number of steps one have to memorize to complete certain tasks. For example, instead of teaching one how to use JSOW in PP mode, then TOO mode, then with different ways of using TOO mode, we chose to teach and let the player use only one implementation method of each weapon in missions. Usually the most simplistic one. It gives players who first bought the module an instant action experience without having to flip through the manual or watch tutorial videos. Personally, I like that. Designed mission flow, busy work life or homework may give users limited time for entertainment. DCS World being a time killer only makes this worse. We want to save players time, the most exciting adrenaline rushing times, and make their way to that point as smooth as possible, as easy as possible. I like that as well. Free tutorial missions to weapons and avionics, background music specifically made for mission plots and emotions. That's awesome. Effort on creating an original world setting and arts. Progressive mission difficulties. Each mission demands you to use different skills and practice them. Checkpoint loading. Yes, despite short mission lengths, we have made mission checkpoints for 2/3 of the mission. All the missions that you have a chance to be shot down, we have made one. Don't fear death or mistakes. We have all been there. See, this is what I've been looking for, and this is the kind of stuff that DCS is missing. And I like their approach that they're going into this, like, you know, we're not going to dumb it down, we're just going to make a couple things simpler, you know. And I swear I read somewhere else that they said, yes, they are going to start some missions in the air instead of having to do, you know, the checklist and all that. And again, a lot of the hardcore guys, they don't have to buy this. This isn't for them. But a lot of the hardcore guys are going to be able to jump in there and enjoy this just the same, because they are making this exciting and easier to access. And I think with the background music and all the dialogue and their approach to this in general, and this is exactly what DCS has been missing. Something that makes the game exciting and fun to jump into and have fun with, instead of so vanilla, so sandbox, here's a plane, go find something to do with it, you know. That's what we've been missing all along. So I'll throw a link to this in the video description as usual, and you can check it out for yourself. So the big news of this week, in addition to Rising Squall, is that there's going to be a MirageF1 for DCS World. And it looks like there are two different developers claiming this. I think they're just working together is what it comes down to. So it says MirageF1 by Aegis Engineering SL. We're happy to announce you the development of MirageF1 by Aegis Engineering SL. And then it goes into talk about, we can imagine you're surprised for such news, but you shouldn't be concerned. We have decided to work on MirageF1 with Aegis instead of AvioDev for business reasons. I'm getting the feeling that Aegis and AvioDev are the same. I didn't read this whole thing, but that's kind of what I'm getting, because if you go to the AvioDev page, you have the same exact message. Kind of crazy. But that's what I'm guessing. It might be how like the guys at Eagle Dynamics have a commercial side and the DCS side. That's what I'm kind of gathering from this. But there's going to be a variety of versions that they're going to put out. And I swear somewhere in here I read and it said something like maybe 6 months down the road we may see the first one. For those of you not totally familiarized with this aircraft, the MirageF1 CE is the basic single cockpit version. The MirageF1 EE is the refueling multi-role version. The MirageF1 BE is the two-seater, and the MirageF1-M is the modernized version with new avionics. We hope you enjoy the pictures. And as we jump in here, there is a variety of very nice images. So it looks like they're actually pretty far along in development here. I mean, this is like, a far cry from the, 3D renders that we get from Razbam all the time, every time they've decided to make a new button dialer gauge and it's like vanilla and there's no textures on it. This is promising. That is a pretty badass cockpit. And being that it's an older plane, I think it's going to fit right in with some of the other existing planes like the Tomcat, like the F5. Yeah, this really, really looks nice overall. Lots and lots of cockpit images. So I'll throw a link to this in the video description as usual, and you can check it out for yourself. Here's another project I've been following. This is the latest on Project Skyscape.
Hey guys, just wanting to do a quick update on my game Project Skyscape to show you some of the new features. So let's go through that now. You can see straight off the bat we've got a new title screen. When you press continue, it hops you into the head of your character, and from there you'll be able to see the new hangar environment, which will serve as your kind of home base. And within this base we've got a new map computer, and this computer can displays your objectives, what you're ultimately trying to achieve, track some stats of what you've done so far, such as how many drones you've shot down. And in the future I'm wanting to make the targeting pod from the jet and other vehicles able to download any points that you save out on a mission into this map computer, where you can see all of it collated together, so you can gradually build up a picture of the situation, and then use that to help you beat the game. So we'll get in the jet now and we'll look at some of the features in there. So one thing that's different from before is the jet now starts all cold and dark. There's no lights or HUD on until you flick the battery switch. And flicking the battery switch is the first thing on the new kneeboard checklist. So this is a checklist to help any new players or whatever be able to get up in the air, just by giving you step-by-step instructions on all the switches and buttons you need to press to actually go from this position to flying around and having fun. So turn the battery switch on, you can see all of the lights coming on. There's also a new thrust reverser switch, so we can get out of this hangar since we're parked in it forwards. Looking on the MFDs, we've got some new things. A lot of the screens that were just static images are now functional. So the radar is now functional. You're able to move the TDC around to designate targets using the mouse by dragging across the screen, or you can eventually be able to bind your joystick hats to do this as well, and potentially buttons from your keyboard, as depending on what you prefer. A new screen on the MFDs is the infrared camera targeting pod, so we turn that on and you can see that's what that looks like. And over on the left we've got the radar warning display is now functional, so as we fly into range of things like a SAM and things with radars, if those radars connect with us, they'll show up here on the radar warning display the outer ring will show radars that are only scanning us, and if we stay in the radius of this SAM for too long, it will escalate to a lock, and that will move the SAM icon to the inner ring on the display, and if we stay in that for too long.
It's about 6 minutes long for the entire video. This really reminds me a lot of VTOL VR by looking at the graphics and stuff, but it also looks like the guy developing this has flight sims in mind and has some experience with flight sims more than what VTOL VR guys had. So I like how you have a TDC and you can move around and designate a target. I like how he's got a targeting pod video there. I like how the radar is set up. You know, this looks like it's more promising, I think, than VTOL VR, to be honest. And he also mentioned HOTAS gear, something you can't do in VTOL VR. At least the last time I played it, you were stuck with using, you know, your stupid controllers that come with your VR headset. I like the ability to have my HOTAS gear handle all this kind of stuff. So this looks really cool. I'm going to continue following this. I'll throw a link to this in the video description as usual, and you can check it out for yourself. All right, lastly is Phil Style testing out the new DCS Damage Model.
Oi! It's time for a long-awaited video, something that's been requested quite a few times now, my first look at the new damage model for DCS. In this video, we are going to be conducting some ground tests, first looking at the old damage model, and then comparing immediately after to the new damage model. Now, a few caveats before we get on with this. Firstly, these damage tests have no impact on aircraft handling. These tests are all conducted on the ground in order to be precise. That means we can't test the effect on how the aircraft handle in the air when damaged. Second caveat, none of the aircraft are pulling additional G in these tests, so we cannot know what effect additional G load would also have on these aircraft after they've been damaged. The third,
the video is almost an hour long. I'm not going to jump back and forth through this, but Phil always makes fantastic videos. I definitely highly recommend checking it out. He does a pretty thorough job of trying to see the differences and whatnot in the new World War II damage model. And so far I've enjoyed it myself too. It's definitely better than what we had. I'll throw a link to this in the video description as usual, and you can check it out for yourself. And that is it for the Flight Sim News today. As always, please subscribe to the channel. Man, subscribers has been just a crawl recently. That's something that, I don't know, man. That's the hardest thing, I think. I would really like to hit 5,000, and I've just been at this crawl. I'm going to hit 3,000 probably by the time this video goes, which is really nice, and it's going to be a major thing for me, I think, to hit that many, because it's been a while to get from like 2,500 to 3,000. And the views are just doing well. You guys are really watching everything, interacting on the comment section, and that really helps the YouTube algorithm. I appreciate it all, guys. I really do. I just wish I could get more subscribers quicker. That's the hardest challenge I think I have right now. But again, I appreciate all the different views, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the videos. That's definitely awesome. And participating in the comments. And as you know, I'm always in there trying to give feedback and answering any questions. So as always, please subscribe to the channel. Definitely hit that like button. That helps the algorithm. And until next time.